Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my vlog. Today I decided to talk about something. I just finished recording my online classes, so I decided to just vlog for a while. I just remembered that today, last year, I think around this time, end of April, early of May, I was involved in the interview for TESL students to enter Foundation Center. And since that time I was still teaching Foundation, so I was part of the interviewer team for 3 or 4 years. And since now I'm no longer teaching Foundation, and I'm teaching degree and postgrad students, so I think I would like to share some tips, or just to share you some of my experience of conducting the TESL interview for Foundation centers. Alright, so this is just my opinion and also my observation based on my experience. Alright, so the interview sessions, I'll just brief about the things, the do's and the don'ts. Alright, I've listed with me 10 tips of what students or SPM leavers should know when they want to go for the TESL interview. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, alright, first thing, I think the number one tip is to be presentable. Alright, so presentable in the context of when you go for the interview, the TESL interview, the way that you dress. I'm not asking you guys to wear like expensive clothes or over the top clothes, but when you come for the interview, the way that you dress, it is appropriate for the interview session. And then also you have to understand that the foundation or the entering foundation, I think is another phase. Alright, so you're no longer in school, you are about to start your degree life. Alright, so that's why foundation is also known as the pre-degree. Alright, so I think the way that you wear, it has to indicate that you are ready for degree life. Alright, so maybe a formal outwear, alright, or the way that you carry out yourself, it has to be very proper, formal. Alright, and also what I mean by being presentable, it means you have to be very welcoming. Right, so when you come to the interview, you have to show this sense of welcoming. Alright, so you have to show that you want to be there and that you like being there. Right, so when you see people, you greet them. When you go into the interview room, you also greet the interviewers, and you have to have this friendly aura. Alright, you go and mix with people, ask them questions. Alright, don't isolate yourself in one place, and you know, it indicates that you are not ready to be socialized in this phase of being in foundation school. Alright, so yeah, be presentable. Alright, be welcoming, and also be friendly. Right, just show that you are ready to mix around, because if you are not comfortable in meeting people or, you know, expressing yourself, then it shows that you are not suitable to be in that course. Because everyone knows that TESL, teaching for English as second language course, it involves a lot of interacting, it involves a lot of socializing, and yeah, you have to be in a teamwork. Right, so if you cannot adapt to that kind of surrounding, I think it's going to be very hard. Alright, once you enroll in the foundation studies. Alright, second one, when you want to go for interview, when they ask you about current news, current updates, current news is very important. Alright, so when the interviewer asks, or when I ask you, okay, what is the current news that you have read, you always have to be prepared and make sure that you read the newspaper, you read anything that's new or current on the website, on Twitter, right? Things that are academic, right? You have to understand that you are enrolling in a TESL program. It is based on academic, all right? So it is not something that is fun. I mean, like, it's not something that is leisure, all right? So you have to understand that whatever you answer during the interview, it has to show some sense of academic based information, all right? So let's say if they ask you what's the current news, all right, maybe COVID-19 is one of them, all right? But always remember that whenever you want to answer the questions, you have to make sure that you know how to explain, all right, how to elaborate, all right? It's not enough if people ask you what's the current news and then you say COVID-19, and then when they say, okay, tell me more about it, and then you don't know, right? So it shows that you only read the title or you don't actually know it, all right? So it shows that you have not been doing some reading, and that is very bad, all right, during an interview, because you have to understand the course itself. TESL requires a lot of reading, so if you don't know the current news, it shows that you are someone that do not have the passion to read and to know what's happening, that's happening around you, all right? All right, so sometimes when people ask you what's the current news or current thing that you have been reading, then you tend to say K-drama series, all right, or I don't know, K-movies and all that, right? So you have to understand that despite it being current to you, you have to understand why you are coming for the interview. So you are coming for the interview to be part of the TESL Foundation course, all right? So you have to understand whatever that you say, it has to relate back to the purpose of you wanting to come in to be part of the TESL community, all right? So if it helps you, then good, all right? So, but if you think that it has no relation to TESL, K-drama, TESL, I don't know, Taylor Swift, for example, all right, it doesn't match together, then try not to use that as the answer, all right? So that's number 2. You have to be updated on the current news, right? Number 3, all right, you have to be original, all right? You have to be yourself, and you cannot be scripted, all right? Based on my observation for the past 4 years of conducting TESL interview, I see a lot of students are very scripted, all right? For example, they come in, they are already prepared to explain about themselves, all right? And then their hobbies, and then their why they want to be in a TESL program, right? So I understand that before you come for an interview, you are already scripted, or you are already shaped by, I don't know, your teachers or your counselors or your parents, all right? So you have to understand that every interview session is different, all right? It is based on how you and also how the interviewer shape the interview session, all right? So my advice is you just go with the flow. You come, and then whatever that the interview asks you, you answer, all right? Because I see a lot of students, they are very scripted, right? They become like a robot. They come and say, good morning everyone, my name is blah blah blah, my hobbies are blah blah blah, non-stop, right? So it's very hard for the interviewers to actually stop them and ask questions, right? So when they do, they stop them, excuse me, can I ask you a question? And then you become panic, all right? Why? Because we have actually disturbed or interrupt your process of memorizing, all right? So there's no point of you memorizing. I don't understand why people need to memorize their name, where they're from, all right? What's your hobby? It's supposed to be in you, all right? So when people ask, you can straight away answer, all right? Understand? All right, another thing on being scripted, all right? You have to understand that TESL program is more of a spontaneous background, all right? That's my opinion, all right? Because I think that you always have to think on your toes. You always have to come up with another plan every minute, all right? When the what do you call it, the original plan is not helping you out, you have to actually think of another alternative, all right? So TESL courses, I think you have to be always spontaneous. You always have to think fast, all right? So imagine if you are scripted or you are very robotic, right? What happens if sometimes you ask, or for example, the interviewer asks you something else, like for example, tell me about your journey of coming to the interview place. So that is not part of what you have been practicing. So how would you attend to that? Alright, so it's actually very, very difficult, and it is actually very, very risky if you actually memorize and script yourself. Alright, so just read enough. Alright, so just practice in front of the mirror. Then when you come to the interview day, it'll be original. Alright, so we always like to find original people, because you have to remember, yeah, there's about 2,000 students, alright, coming for the interview session. Alright, so imagine if all 2,000 are scripted. So imagine, like, let's say for my session there's like 300 students coming. So imagine I have to listen to 300 students saying the same thing. My name is blah blah blah, my hobby is blah blah blah, my parents' name is blah blah blah. Alright, so when it comes like that, then it's very difficult for us to choose and select you. Alright, so always remember, don't be scripted. It's always okay for you to practice, alright, to rehearse, but never memorize. Alright, so this is not an examination where you memorize and then you just pour it out, right? So this is a real interaction, face to face. Anything can happen, so you always have to be prepared, right? Okay, number 4. Right, I know that in my TESL interview session, alright, over the past years, we require you to come with a resume, right, for us to go through while we interview you, right? So most cases, these resumes, alright, are done not by you, but by your counselors, alright, or by your teachers or your parents, alright. So you have to understand that it's very, very risky also if you get other people to do your resume. So I understand that at your age, 17, 18, you don't actually know how to come up with a resume, alright. You've never worked before, so you don't know how a resume look like, right? So it is always okay to ask your parents or your siblings or your teachers to help you out. But at the end of the day, it has to be you who compile everything on your own, alright? Okay, reason being because what I like to do is when my other panel is interviewing the students, I would go through your resume, and then if something sparked my interest, I would ask them, alright? So most likely the answers that I would get is not very satisfying, alright? The reason being because you don't know what's in your resume, alright? So when I ask you, okay, what was this about, or what is this certificate about, alright? And then sometimes you panic and then you lost your words, alright? So you have to understand, whatever goes into your resume, you have to know, alright? You have to know what's the reason of you putting that in your resume. That is also important, because you have to understand whatever that you put in your resume are the ones that the interviewee will ask you, alright? And then another thing is, if you are in charge of your own resume, you can choose what to put, alright? What to put in your resume, what not to put in your resume, alright? For example, you took Mandarin back in Form 5, alright? And then the Mandarin subject, you got a C, right? Then you've got a certificate saying that you got Mandarin C. Why would you put that in the resume, right? Unless if it's an A, then you should include it, because that is a bonus point for you, alright? So another thing is, I find that the resumes are all templated, alright? Template meaning that it comes in a one design, alright? I see students coming in bringing their resumes, and then it's all like, you know, it has all the taggings, and then it has all the covered colored papers, alright? So when I ask them, who did your resume? My teachers. Who did your resumes? My counselor. Who did the resumes? My parents, alright? So it is you who are asking the to come for the interview, so you have to do your own resume, alright? It's okay. It is okay for some students who ask their parents or their teachers to do the resume for them, but they themselves go through the resume themselves, so they know what's inside there and they are able to answer the questions. That is very, very important, alright? I know that you are not coming to look for a job, so you think that the resume is not important, but trust me, all right, in any interview session, people will always look at your resume, because your resume, it tells everything about your past, all right? So let's say if you have nothing to show in your resume, or you know nothing what's inside your resume, it indicates that you are a person that, I don't know, like in doing activities, or you don't know actually what you have been doing in the past few years before coming for this interview. So it's always important, all right? So that's number 4, I think. Don't ask other people to do your resume. Do your own resume, so that you are very, very well equipped with what is inside your resume. Okay, all right. Okay, number 5. You have to be memorable. All right. So this one, it relates to my previous point, which is to be scripted, be original. All right. You have to be memorable. Like I've mentioned, sometimes there's 2,000 students coming for the interview. You have to think of a way of being memorable. All right. I know I get this a lot. All right. I have students saying that they're not pretty, they're not handsome, they're not from the rich family, so they cannot stand out. You have to remember that this is an academic based interview, all right? So we want you based on your academic and how you present yourself, all right? So being memorable, I think, is very, very important when you want to fight against, I don't know, another 2,000 students wanting the same thing, which is to be accepted as a TESL student. I think you have to be memorable, all right? For example, if you have a funny nickname, for example, or if you have a nickname that is one of a kind, then tell the interviewers, all right? My name is, for example, Farah, all right? But you can call me Pikachu, for example, all right? Trust me, people will always remember you, all right? When we have a meeting among ourselves, after the interview session has ended, we will always ask, okay, who's that girl? The Pikachu, all right? So if your academic is very good, the way that you present yourself is very good, all right? So it's all these little things that we remember after the interview session, all right? So be memorable, of course, if you are kind, you are polite, you are friendly, all right? And then whatever that you share during the interview is different from other students, then that is very, very memorable, right? So I'm not saying that be memorable by sharing your sad story, right? Your I don't know, your most of the time it's sad story, right? You tell us a sad story of how you didn't score for your SPM, how your families are like, alright? So you have to understand that we're taking you in. You're the only one that we're taking in the TESL course, not your family, not your sad story, alright? So you have to understand and differentiate between being memorable and also being sympathetic, alright? Okay, next one. The next step is to always ask questions, right? And I think you have to be engaged in the conversation. For example, you come in, all right, and then the interviewer start asking questions, then you answer them politely and you engage in the conversation, right? So for example, if there's like a pause during the interview session, then it's okay for you to, excuse me, can I ask some questions, all right? As an interviewer, I always appreciate if students ask us questions. So it shows that you are brave enough to ask us questions, which represents your maturity, and also it shows that you are someone who is participative. Alright, so these kind of students, when they are in class later on, they are the one who will ask questions and make the classroom alive. Alright, so besides that, it shows interest, right? If it's a one-way communication, if we are the one who asking you questions throughout the session, then I think that is just a boring interview session, right? So it's always okay for you to ask questions. For example, excuse me, can I tell me more about myself? Excuse me, can I share with you the latest movie that I've watched? All right. And then when during the interview, there's a session where the interviewee will ask you, okay, the interviewer will ask you, is there any question? Then this is a time, or this is a part of the interview session that you have to ask questions. Excuse me, may I know when is the result? Excuse me, may I know when will the semester start? Alright, something that is related to the course or the interview session. Alright. Okay, another important tip is never ask back the interviewer, how did I do? Alright. Is there anything that I can improve myself? Right? These kind of questions is a big no. Alright. Why? Because this is not what do you call it? This is not a training. Alright. This is a real life interview session where we want you as a student, or we don't want you. Alright, we don't have time to ask you, okay, this is the part, this is the area that you have to improve, this is the part that you excel. Alright, so imagine there's 2,000 students asking us the same questions. We are not your counselors. Alright, we are not there to help you improve your interview session. Alright, so never ask, what can I improve? Did I do well? If you did well, you will be called to join the TESL course. If you did not do well, then we won't call you, as easy as that. Alright, so for you to ask us, what can I improve? What did I do good? How did I do with my interview? Those are no question, right? Big no. Alright, another tip that I can give you is, alright, there's a fine line of being shy and also being rude. Alright, so shy is this part, rude is this part. Alright, it cannot go together. Alright. So I understand if you are shy, right? All of us are shy, okay? So that is a common thing, right? But you have to know when to be shy and when not to be shy. So if you come for an interview, people ask you questions, people expect you to answer, then you cannot be shy, alright? You have to actually engage and respond back, okay? Another thing is being rude. I think in most of my experiences dealing with students, they are rude when the interviewer starts asking questions, or so many questions. For example, or you like to watch K-drama, and then the interviewer asks, what kind of K-drama? And then you answer, and then we ask you again, tell us more about the movie. And then you say, you can go and watch it by yourself, right? So this kind of answers, it reflects your rudeness, right? So you have to remember that if an interviewer asks you so many questions, it means that they are interested in you. They want more in you, all right? So it is a good thing if they keep asking questions, all right? It is a problem, or you should be worried if the interviewer does not ask you any questions, or they ask you the normal thing. For example, your name, where you're from, and all that. Okay. So don't be rude. Alright. It's our job to ask you questions, and it's your job to respond to it. That's basically what an interview is about. Okay. Alright. So another tip that I can share is, whatever that you want to ask, or whatever that you want to respond or reply to, make sure that in your mind is always related to TESL, right? So if you ask me, if they ask me about my hobby, for example, what do you like to do? So I have to think something that is related to TESL, alright? I like to hang out with my siblings. I love kids, so it shows that you like teaching kids, or you like spending time with kids, because maybe in the future, after you graduated with TESL degree, you might be teaching, alright? Or you say, I like to sing, right? I like to act. I was part of the theatre club during my school. So all these elements, or all these answers, relates back to TESL. You have to know why you take TESL, right? Don't be the kind of students who, I don't know what's TESL about, I'm just trying out my luck, alright? We don't want that. We want students who wants to be part of TESL, students who actually choose the TESL because they know what is it about, alright? So yeah, so try to shape or construct your answers as closely as it is related to TESL, alright? For example, what's your hobby? I love to teach students, alright? I also teach my siblings, And then I like singing, I like dancing, I like participating in theatre. I'm a very good teamwork, alright. I love English, I love writing short stories, I love writing poems, and then you show them, alright. You show them sample of the work that you've done, alright. Convince the interviewer that you are worthy to be selected as part of the TESL family, alright. So yeah, so I think that's about it, alright. But the most important thing is just be yourself, have fun, alright. Just remember that there's no 2 or 3 times of you coming for an interview for TESL, alright. It's always at one moment in your life, so try to cherish it and have fun, alright. Enjoy the process and then have fun, alright. It's actually a fun thing to come over and share your stories, share your background with us, alright. So I think the last tip that I would like to stress out to students out there, especially those who want to go for the TESL interview, you have to remember one thing, alright. We want you, alright. The university or the foundation center wants you, alright. So that's a bonus point already for you. So all you have to do is come, give us answers, give us what we are looking for, and inshallah we will accept you, alright. So it's a hard thing if that we don't want you. You are the one coming to us. Now we want you, right? We are asking for you to come over for the interview session for us to take you in, alright. I'm not sure about this year, alright, because of the pandemic and all that, the COVID. I don't know how they will be conducting the interview session because I'm no longer part of it. But whatever it is, if it's an online interview, if it's a face-to-face interview, just remember these tips that I've given to you, and hopefully you'll get through it, and hopefully I'll get to see you during your degree, alright. So I wish you all the best. If you have any questions, you can just drop your questions in the comment box below, or feel free to contact me. I'm very happy to help you with your interview, alright. So I think that's all. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and before I end, I would just like to say happy fasting to everyone, and stay home.